How's it going, guys? Julian Bradley here from themusical.com. So in this video I want to answer some frequently asked questions surrounding ear training. So basically I've got about 8 questions here. They've come from friends, family and some subscribers. So I'm just going to go through them one by one. So first of all, let me start by defining what playing music by ear actually means. To play music by ear means that away from your instrument, you are able to identify notes and chords by ear. And the key here is it's away from your instrument. So a lot of people think that they can play music by ear because they can sit at their instrument and they can test out notes and chords until they find notes and chords which match those in the recording. Now, really, you're not playing by ear when you use your instrument. You're actually playing by trial and error. And in fact, playing music by trial and error is actually counterproductive. It actually prevents you from learning to play music by ear because it's sort of like using a calculator to do arithmetic. You're relying on the technology, which means you never actually learn to do it on your own. So your instrument gives you the fish, but does not teach you how to fish, so to speak. So, just to be clear, playing music by ear means that without the aid of your instrument, you are able to identify notes and chords by ear. So there are 2 ways that people can play music by ear. There's perfect pitch and there's relative pitch. Now, perfect pitch basically means with no conscious effort, these people are able to identify exact notes, so like F, F sharp, C sharp, B flat, and they're just able to remember the unique frequency of each note in their long-term memory. Now, a very small percentage of people have perfect pitch, and generally you are just born with perfect pitch, and it's very rare to develop perfect pitch later on in life. However, the other way to play music by ear is what's called relative pitch, and relative pitch is equally valuable and effective despite its inferior sounding name. But the truth is, relative pitch is just as effective and it can be learnt by all musicians at any age. Now, relative pitch works by learning the unique sound of scale degrees, so the unique sound of the root second, the major third, the minor sixth, all of these unique sounds within the context of the key. And at the end of the day, you just don't know what key the music's in. But rarely does it matter what key the music's in. So yes, some people are just born with perfect pitch, but for everyone else you can learn relative pitch. Will learning to play music by ear ruin my enjoyment of music? So every person who can play music by ear knows that this is not the case. In fact, it increases your enjoyment, and actually that's where all the fun begins, is once you can understand what you're listening to, once you can understand the language of music. But there are a lot of people who can't play music by ear who say, I don't want to learn to play music by ear because I think it will ruin my enjoyment of music. And the truth is that every great musician who loves music, Beethoven, Mozart, Chopin, Bill Evans, Miles Davis, all these people could play music by ear. In fact, playing music by ear increases your enjoyment of music. So you'll always have the visceral, emotional side of it. You'll always get goosebumps like everyone else. But also you'll understand the conversation which is going on, rather than just listening to a foreign film with subtitles, which is pretty much what everyone else is doing. So I really get sad when people say it will ruin my enjoyment of music, because that's not the case at all. It's actually the opposite. You can't really fully enjoy music until you learn to play music by ear. Okay, next question. I can read music, why should I learn to play by ear? So music is sound, and the focus should be on what you hear, not what you see. So if you focus on what you see, you're actually distracting yourself from what you're supposed to be concentrating on, which is what you hear. And reading music has got way too much emphasis put on it. You know, why do we have written music? The only reason is to record the work of composers. So when Beethoven and Mozart were writing music, there came a point where people were like, it would be nice to preserve this and pass it down through generations. So that's the only reason we started writing down music and came up with a way to notate the music. But really, that's not the main thing. And many musicians rely heavily on what they see, but this only distracts them from what's important, which is the sound. Does ear training require constant practice to maintain? So to answer this question, if we think about colour for a minute, so when a child learns to recognise colours, once they've learnt those colours, they no longer need to practice them because they're reminded of those colours every day. The sea is blue, the grass is green, etc. They're reminded of those colours every day. And basically because of that, it's impossible to forget them. So the same goes for music. Once you've learnt the unique sound of notes and chords, you'll then be reminded of those sounds on a daily basis every time you hear music played, and you can't really avoid music. So basically there's no maintenance required to keep your playing by ear going, because just listening to music is all the practice you need. Ear training sounds vague. How can you teach it? So more than anything, learning to play music by ear is learning the rules of music, basically music theory. So we study tension notes, resolution notes, tension chords, resolution chords, and we basically learn the rules of music, and that is half of it. And then the other half is how those rules sound in action. So it's 50% learning the rules of music and 50% learning how those rules sound. And the other thing is learning to play music by ear is a lot about studying the 7-note scale that Western music's written in. So the key, the major minor scale. And we just learn this like the back of our hand. We learn the chords which exist within that key. We learn the 7 notes where the half steps occur, where the major thirds occur. And most of it is just this preparation stage. Really, there are 5 notes which get used a lot in melodies. There are 4 chords which get used a lot in chord progressions. And there are a few extra things which occasionally happen. But most of the time, you're just using your ear to distinguish between 2 or 3 possibilities. So that's how you teach ear training. You learn the rules of music and you learn how those rules sound. I'm Julian Bradley. Thank you for watching. If you found this video useful, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. Make sure you don't miss out on future videos by subscribing to my channel. And you can watch my complete ear training course at themusicalear.com, where I'll teach you how to play music by ear. This course is for adult musicians of all instruments with at least 5 years playing experience. Reading music is not necessary, and I teach all concepts through the piano. So for more information, click the link below, and I look forward to seeing you at themusicalear.com.